Hello and welcome back to the last session of the human reproduction. In the previous parts, we had came to the part of the pregnancy period. Now in this class, we are looking at the parturition and lactation parts. Okay. Now as far as the parturition and lactation is concerned, it is the next part of the pregnancy. As we say, human placenta is said to be decidual type. That means after 9 months, there is a delivery of the baby. This process is termed as a parturition. And it is under the control of hormones also. So what is parturition? The process of giving birth to child. It is called as a parturition. It is also termed as the delivery of a fully developed fetus, or the delivery of the fully developed fetus or a baby is said to be parturition. Now for the process of parturition or for the process of delivery of the baby, what are the conditions here? Now the placenta induces certain reflexes called as a fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex, where we also call it as FER. The placenta, it will produce a mild contractions in the uterine layer, which is called as a fetal ejection reflex. This fetal ejection reflex, through its neuroendocrine system, it stimulates the pituitary gland to release a hormone called as oxytocin. So then oxytocin is released. Now this oxytocin is responsible for the wild contractions in the uterine muscles. As we know, uterus is made up of muscles. The uterine muscle is called as myometrial layer, and that myometrial layer, it induces the contractions, wild contractions, rapid contractions, so that it pushes the fetus, fully developed fetus, to eject from its cervical as well as vaginal region. So when it puts a pressure on the fully developed fetus or the baby, that wild contraction is exhibited, or it is under the control of oxytocin hormone. So this oxytocin, it stimulates wild contractions, in the uterine muscles. When it stimulates wild contractions in the uterine muscles, then ultimately the fetus is ejected out. The fetus is released out. This process is said to be parturition, or it is also called as a delivery. Okay, so this is regarding the part of the parturition. That means parturition is under the control of a placental hormone called as a fetal ejection reflex. A placenta exhibits mild contractions in the uterine muscles, which is called as a fetus ejection reflex. That means the fetal ejection reflex along with the oxytocin hormone are responsible for the wild contractions of the uterine muscles, so that the baby can take its birth. Okay, so this is what is termed as a parturition. Because of this reason, oxytocin hormone is called as a delivery hormone or parturition hormone. That's why oxytocin is said to be called parturition hormone. So which is called as a parturition hormone? Oxytocin is said to be parturition hormone. There is one more function of the oxytocin also. There is one more function. After parturition, there is a lactation. Okay. Now let's see what is a lactation here. Lactation is the process of production of milk in the mammary gland of the females. So lactation is a production of milk in mammary glands. This is what is termed as a lactation, or we call it as a milking period. After the delivery of the baby, after parturition, the young one has to be nourished through the mother's milk, and that process is called as a lactation. Now, after delivery of the baby, the milk has to be released when the baby sucks the mother's milk, and that's why the milk ejecting hormone, again it is a oxytocin only. And hence, apart from the function of a parturition, there is another function of the oxytocin. Oxytocin is also called as milk ejecting hormone. It's also called as a milk ejecting hormone because the milk has to be released through the mammary glands of the mother when the baby sucks the mother's milk. That's why oxytocin is having dual function. It is also called as a birth hormone, parturition hormone, also termed as a birth hormone. Or delivery hormone. Then oxytocin, other function is it is also called as a milk ejecting hormone because the milk has to be released out, the milk has to be ejected out after the process of delivery so that the babies can be nurtured with the help of the mother's milk. Now, the first milk produced by the mother is called as a colostrum. The first milk produced by the mother. Now here what happens, the first milk that is produced by the mother is said to be colostrum. Then why we call it as a colostrum? The first milk produced by the mother is rich in antibodies. It is rich in antibodies. This is rich in antibodies, and these antibodies are made up of specially IgA, immunoglobulin A. Now, when the baby is feeding on the mother's milk during the lactation period, it gets the first milk which is called as colostrum. Colostrum is rich in antibodies like IgA. Now this IgA, it provides immunity. It provides immunity for the developing baby. Then what is the lactation period in the females? The lactation period might be around 6 months, 9 months, or it might be up to 1 year also. Now, till the lactation period, till the milking period, there will be no menstrual cycle in case of the females, because as the baby will be feeding on the mother's milk, there will be no menstrual cycle. That's why during the lactation period, the pregnancy cannot be carried out for about few months. It may vary in from one to the other females also, but generally during the lactation period there will be no menses, and during the period of lactation the baby will be nurturing by the mother's milk, which helps in its growth and development. So this is regarding the part of parturition as well as lactation and the hormones that control parturition as well as lactation. Okay. So just remember these two things. Both are mainly controlled by oxytocin, and that oxytocin is mainly released by the pituitary gland under the stimulation of neuronal layers. Under the stimulation of the neural system, oxytocin is released. It is responsible for the birth of the baby. It is also responsible for the release of the milk through the mammary gland of the mother. And this completes the part of human reproduction. Thank you.